Hey, welcome to the Sports Unfolded NHL Ranking Show. I am your host, Eric. Main man over there, Ron, my hockey guru. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
We took a little hiatus, couple weeks off.
Yeah, well, it took them 2 weeks just to get rid of all the beard I was
Yes,
starting to
I
grow.
see
So
that. Look at you, looking all
it took them a
fancy,
long time. So
handsome. Look at you, ready to go, ready to break down these hockey rankings, which actually have had a lot of controversy. So, I mean,
they
there's been
always do this, and we
yeah,
know what happens.
the 4-5 spot though. I definitely see where some of the fans could have
Oh no,
had some arguments. I mean, it's
they can
pretty
argue all
obvious.
they want.
All right, so we are going
Bring
to
it on.
try to. Let's see here. Hold on one second, my friend. I forgot one little detail that we need, and that is the rankings themselves. So we'll bring those up real quick so we can kind of discuss how we got to that and then go from there. All right, let's see where we're at. So the rankings were this week at number 5, the Tampa Bay Lightning. At 4, the Carolina Hurricanes. At 3, the Vegas Golden Knights. The New Jersey Devils, very surprising season so far, at number 2. And the Boston Bruins maintained the number 1 spot. So we are going to start right off with this number 5 team, and that is the Tampa Bay Lightning, Ron. And how do we get the Tampa Bay Lightning? They're 15-9-1 on the season, 86 goals for, 79 against. So you look at it, they're
What
only
did they lose last night?
they have a loss.
Yeah, they lost. They must have lost last night then.
Yeah, they're 7-3 in their last 10. So the rankings did come out yesterday. So there may be a little bit of disparity when it comes to how you got to where you're at.
Yeah, so basically what it came down to for that number 5 spot was Tampa Bay, Toronto, Dallas, and Seattle. Those were the ones that I was contemplating putting into that spot. It ultimately came down to Tampa Bay because Toronto had losses
Brayley thanks
to
for
Tampa
joining.
Bay.
Brayley Bruins fan, really excited.
Rylene.
Riley Ann. And then Kenny also chimed in here. Look, you look young today. He said, you look young.
Well, yeah, Kenny, this is all gone. So I look like, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 years younger than what I was. So anyway, so Tampa Bay ultimately got that spot. Their only loss in the week was to Boston. So, and they beat Toronto. So that knocked Toronto out.
Which I would question, okay, Toronto 16-5-6, 7-0-3 in their last 10. So they haven't lost in their last 10 matchups.
Well, they've lost. They lost to Tampa Bay, albeit in overtime, but they still lost to Tampa Bay. And when I have those two teams that are pretty close in records, I went with the team that is better. And I'm sorry, Toronto fans. Tampa Bay right now is better.
What about Detroit or Winnipeg? So Winnipeg 7-3 in their last 10, 16-7.
Yeah, I have Detroit way down on this list. I mean, I have them, believe it or not, down at number 14.
Wow. Okay.
So they still haven't proven to me that they can beat the good teams. So, I mean, once they do that, then maybe I'll bring them up a little. But there's a lot of teams ahead of them in the thick of things.
Okay.
So and Seattle just isn't.
You won't give them any love, Seattle.
I don't give them.
You don't believe in the Kraken.
No, I have them at number 8 right now, and until they're playing out in the West, and I'm sorry, just sorry.
So what about Tampa Bay?
You're not going to get love yet.
Tampa Bay 8-4-1 at home. The next 3 games are all at home against Nashville, Florida, and Seattle.
I like them in all 3 of those, to be honest.
Do you like them in all 3? Florida hasn't played well. Nashville, again, it's kind of been a disappointment. That Kraken's game will be very interesting. That Seattle Kraken game will be one of those games we may look at.
Yeah, that might be a game that, hey, if Seattle can go spotless in the week and and pick off, Tampa Bay, that might be a game that you finally give them credit. Just saying.
So what about at number 4? We have the Carolina Hurricanes, and some people question this as well as how
Yeah,
Carolina.
well, if they question this one, I don't know what their problem is, because Carolina is now got a 4-game winning streak, which is tied for the best in the league right now. Carolina, to me, still has the best roster.
I think it's overall, if you look at the last 10, 4-1-5, just have not performed well the last 10 games. 14-6-6, so still a very good record, but
absolutely, and they haven't even begun to play their best hockey yet. And this is why, I've had Carolina hanging around. Now they've got a 4-game winning streak, so 14-6-5 is pretty good. With only 6 losses, there's only a few teams in the league that have only lost 6 or fewer. So, I mean, when you look at it, there's 6 teams that have only lost 6 games. So, and that's regulation losses.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you're not
look, I like Carolina. I still think that they're the best team in the league, and they're just starting to get going.
Okay, so their away record 9-3-5, so pretty good away record. Next 2 games that they have this week at the Islanders and at Detroit. That Detroit matchup, again, very interesting, where we talked about Tampa Bay, maybe with Seattle in that game.
Yeah.
Detroit could get on this list beating Carolina.
Absolutely. Like if you take that game and you notch it up as a win for Detroit, that changes perspectives, because then, because right now I have Detroit behind Pittsburgh, Minnesota, Winnipeg. I mean, they're all playing well this year, but you beat Carolina, and you have to also take care of your other games. But, then you're talking, well, there's a little more respect there. And it's the same thing with Seattle. Detroit and Seattle are, to me, the 2 teams that haven't earned the respect yet, because they need to have consistency against those good teams. And when you stop beating those teams, that's when you get noticed.
Yeah, it's similar to one of the criticisms we got with our NFL rankings this week was Minnesota and how they beat Buffalo and things. But if you look at quality of wins sometimes and how we factor that in when we get to our rankings, it's not that you're winning games; it's who you're beating sometimes that really makes an impact.
Absolutely, and that's how it went with this week's rankings here. I don't like backing teams in ahead of other teams. I don't like doing that. You got to earn what you get, and you're not getting it until you earn it.
Yeah, and I think we as well. So the fans out there that are watching or consistently check out our rankings, it's not based on your record overall. It's based on your performances during the week, where you're at, what teams you've beaten. So we try to factor all that in when we make these rankings. So
absolutely.
We like the fact that people want to come out, criticize them, because again, it makes us think about it a little bit more. But as you can see, when we do these shows, we explain kind of how we get to those rankings and why we're there. So let's talk about this number 3 team. I know they beat the Boston Bruins. Bruce Cassidy returned to Boston, ended that streak, 14 straight home wins, new NHL record by the Boston Bruins. But Vegas Golden Knights very quietly have had a very good season to start, 19-7-1 overall, a plus 23 when goals for, goals against with 94-71, 6-3-1 in their last 10. They're on a 2-game winning streak. Extremely good team on the road, 12-2-1 on the road,
right?
7-5 at home. So not playing as well in Vegas. This week, all 3 games at home against the Rangers, the Flyers, and the Bruins. So could be a week where Vegas gets knocked out again if they continue to play, I guess, subpar at home. Your thoughts on the Vegas Golden Knights?
Yeah, well, see, this is the thing. They're beating up on teams on the road. And when you're traveling to Calgary, Edmonton, LA, Seattle, Anaheim, San Jose, Vancouver, that's your Western rivals. You're better than those teams. So you're going to beat up on a lot of those teams. What they've been getting at home has been a little different. They've been getting the the better teams at home. And this week, they got a couple of tough games here. And, you caught the Bruins, on a high. I mean, 14 in a row at home. I mean, they were eventually going to lose.
And again, you led that game 3-0. Boston
And then
came
you
back
almost
and
let it
lost
get away.
Yeah, and you lost in
And
overtime. So
the Bruins played better. They played better than Las Vegas. They outshot them almost 2-1 in that game. And to me, they hung on to, if not for Thompson, they would have lost that game. So
really interesting too when you look at the West and you mentioned some teams. We didn't mention Colorado, the Avalanche, and now the big loss they've had injury-wise with McKinnon, who's going to be out probably about a month. So again, that kind of makes that road for Vegas a little easier as well. When you look at, they're the only Western Conference team on this list this week.
Yeah, and it's like with Colorado, they got to be careful, because if they lose a lot of games while McKinnon is out, I mean, they have the injury to Landeskog, I mean, this could put them far down, and they might not be able to recover. I mean, that would be a travesty, to be honest with you. This team is too good to be losing to some of these teams that they're losing to.
But sometimes you have that defending champion. Look at the NBA. Golden State Warriors struggling.
Yeah.
The Rams are pretty much out of it and have no shot. So again, we're running into the same thing with Colorado. So again, they lost some players. They lost Kadri, which was a big piece.
Yep.
Now you get some injuries. All of a sudden, they don't look as good as they did last season. And to your point, Vegas is kind of capitalizing, which is important. Bruce Cassidy, would you say, though, has made a difference early on with the Vegas Golden Knights?
I knew he was going to make a difference there. It's a veteran team, and we go over this all the time. Yeah. And this is why the Bruins are playing so well, because they have a lot of young players. Yes, they have some veterans. That's a given. But they have a lot of younger players too that needed, a new voice, and one that likes to play those young players. So, but he's in a situation where he has a lot of good veteran players, and he can make those good veteran players play well. And if you look at the difference, and I throw his name out there all the time, but Vegas doesn't have that Patrice Bergeron in the locker room. They have some guys that are leaders and stuff like that, yes, but they don't have that guy that does it in so many ways and really doesn't need a head coach to get these veterans to play.
Gotcha.
Therefore, this team, they need that guidance from a coach that can get the veterans to play. And that is the difference that Cassidy is making there. It is actually a team that was built for him.
Yeah, and again, we look at, they made the playoffs consistently last season, just missed. So the veteran coach, again, playing the players correctly, it makes a difference.
Yeah, no, it does. It really does.
Makes a difference. So let's talk about, if you're in New Jersey right now, you have to be excited about the New Jersey Devils, because as much as we thought they were going to fall off the map, they've consistently stayed hot. 21-4-1 on the season, 96 goals for, 57 against, Ron, a plus 39.
Yeah.
8-1-1 in their last 10. They're on a 2-game winning streak. And this team pretty much, when we talk about the Bruins' success at home, away they're 11-1. They're 10-3-1 at home, though, as well. So there's no pushover either way. They can travel well. They play well at home. They've got games against the Islanders this week at home and Dallas at home, and they play at the New York Rangers this week. Dallas game, very interesting. Again, good game. Rangers have been inconsistent. Shesterkin just has not looked like the goaltender of the past. That's kind of hurting them. And the Islanders, again, we could say another disappointment. Could this be a sweep this week for the New Jersey Devils and they continue on this run?
It could be, because when I look at this team and you look at that plus minus, league leaders, Siegenthaler plus 22, tied for first. Graves and Tatar plus 18, they're both third. Marino plus 15, Hamilton plus 15.
Dan Marino's playing now. Look at him.
Yeah, Dan Marino. Yeah,
good for him.
John Marino. And, those guys are tied in 7th with that plus 15 with Bergeron, by the way. Brett, plus 14th. Plus 14, tied for 13th. The
It's a
league
team.
leaders is littered with the New Jersey Devils, and especially that defensive core. Siegenthaler, Hamilton, Marino. The list goes on with them. That defense is just playing amazing. And then you throw, Vanacek with a 2.10 goals against average, third in the league. And he's also 6th with a 922 save percentage. 6th with a 922, by the way. 922 is pretty good.
Yes. Yeah. So I think I would ask you this question: though, are they contenders? Are they legitimate contenders when you look at the New Jersey Devils now?
Yeah, apparently they're going to be. They're there. What Palat and Tatar has brought to this team is,
And Palat being out, and they're still consistently.
Yeah, and like they're just playing well. A lot of young players, and then you throw those 2 veterans on there, and it has made a world of a difference. And not to mention they're getting great goaltending.
So I will say this: if things consistently stay the same, are they a threat to the Boston Bruins? Just asking the question. If you think about how well they're playing, they're scoring about the
Well, of
same.
course. I mean, they're playing well. Is there going to be a tail off? There probably will be a slight one. Look, because it's a young team, and when they go into a tailspin, and they're going to, every team goes into a losing streak. So, how they're going to handle it, and we're going to find out, eventually how they're going to be able to handle that. And if they can gather themselves, then they're going to be a contender. If they flounder and are having a hard time getting back on the winning side, then that's where the youth hurts.
Yep. Sometimes adversity is the most important part to a team to see what they're really about. So we'll have to see.
I think they're going to be okay for the year. I think they'll finish at least in the top 2 in that division, and and we'll see what happens in the playoffs. Because right now, to me, it looks like Boston, New Jersey, Carolina, Toronto, Tampa Bay are going to own that
East.
Conference.
The East.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that number 1 team. That would be the Boston Bruins. They are again at the top of this list, 23-1. 96 goals for, 53 against, a plus 43 so far this season. 8-1-1 in their last 10. They did lose their last matchup against the Vegas Golden Knights, but 14-0-1 at home. The streak ends 6-3 on the road, Ron. A little bit of a concern there when you talk about consistency when they go on the road at Colorado, at Arizona, and at Vegas this week. So Colorado, we just talked about with the injuries. That should be a game that they definitely win. At Arizona, if they don't win that game, there's something wrong with this hockey world. But I would say this: at Vegas, are they circling that as the fact that team beat them at home, and how aggressive they would want to be to get back at Bruce Cassidy? And so quickly.
Absolutely. Look, this isn't going to be an easy road trip by no means. I mean, Colorado still has some great players. Then you can't overlook Arizona in between there. And that if there's a trap game in the NHL, that's it right there. Because you're looking at Colorado, Vegas, and you're totally forgetting about that one. But they need to expose those teams that they're just superior to.
Yeah.
And in this case, they're superior to both of those first 2 games right now.
Yeah, and to your point, that Arizona game's right before the Vegas game. So to me, that they're definitely going to want to fire back at Cassidy and say, look, all right, you ruined our streak. We're going to make sure we take care of business on the road.
But before we go further here, I just want to clarify, because 1, 2, and 3 stayed the same this week. And I know people are saying, well, Vegas beat Boston.
Yep, that did come up.
Now, all 3 of these teams had a loss this week. Keep that in mind. and Vegas lost to Pittsburgh, who is a pretty good team, you know. But they went to overtime. The Bruins definitely played better than Vegas. And even though Vegas got the win, they also played against the Bruins backup goaltender. So that also was a factor in this. And of course, New Jersey had a loss, and they lost to Nashville. So with the three of those teams getting a loss, I kept them the same because I wasn't going to back in anyone to get that spot when they all had a loss. And
again, if you think about this, Ron, so the number 3 team beat the number 1 team, right? So it's not like you're sitting there and saying, okay, the Bruins lost to the Arizona Coyotes. That would knock them down. That's a bad loss.
Absolutely. Exactly.
And when you talk about quality wins versus quality losses, and that's a key word, quality losses. If you lose to a team that's in the top 5, they're a very good team. And if you lose to a team in the top 5 in overtime, it wasn't like they got blown out.
No, and it was quite the opposite too, because the Bruins definitely dominated, especially through the last half of that game. Yes, Vegas had a great first period, and it rattled Swayman, but Swayman then stood on his head and made sure that the Bruins had a shot, and the Bruins clawed their way back into that game and completely dominated that third period, completely dominated. And they played well in the overtime, and just, one happened to get through in the shootout. So, there's nothing you can do about that.
Which happens.
Yeah.
So, again, is this team overachieving, Ron, or is this the legitimate Boston Bruins we're going to see?
No, I think this is legitimate. I think this is the way.
games.
Yeah, I think this is the way they should have been playing last year. And again, that was why the coaching changed, right? I mean, you look at the team, and they were like barely making the playoffs, and it's like this team should not be just barely scraping by. I mean, they are clearly a better team than 90% of the teams in this league. I mean, arguably right now, there's only 3 other teams that can compare. Yeah. Arguably,
And one of the things I heard recently was that Krejci, the reason why he left was Cassidy. So it may be the fact that, again, you're getting some of these guys back that play well together, that have been together for years, and they know this might be their last run. Look, these guys are not getting any younger. Marchand, Bergeron, they're getting up there where, again, your window's closing quicker, and I think they've got a hunger. And then you look at Olmark. I mean, I think he's definitely taking a jump as the starting goaltender. And there was kind of questions last season. He kept bouncing guys around and couldn't make a decision.
Right.
So
he's playing much better this year.
Yeah. So again, his confidence level saying, look, we're going to entrust in you. You're the starting goaltender. Yeah. You're going to be the guy that we go roll with. Sometimes that makes a difference.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of factors that have plagued the Bruins in the past and that are now beneficial this year. Like you said, mentioning Krejci coming back, and I say a big if, that they win the Stanley Cup, probably Krejci retires, and possibly even Bergeron.
Yeah, again, I think what else do they have to accomplish at that point? Look, they came back, they made a run. If you're the most dominant team in the league, once this is all said and done, what really is there to come back for?
Yeah,
I think it just tarnishes sometimes the legacy of a player when they come back, and if they're not as successful, right? Yeah, if they're not as successful, the second time when they come back after winning a Stanley Cup, and people questioning if they should have came back in the first place. So let's look at the list again, my friend, and see if you're going to agree that this is the way it might remain after this week. So Tampa Bay at 5, Carolina at 4, the Vegas Golden Knights at 3, New Jersey Devils at 2, and the Boston Bruins at number 1, Ron. So if I was going to ask you if there's a team or teams we should be looking at next week as a possible candidate to get on this list, or would list remain the same, what would you say?
I would take a look squarely at my my 6, 7, and 8, and that's Toronto, Dallas, and Seattle. Seattle has an opportunity now with playing some good teams. That's the only way they're going to get in there is they have to sweep next week. Then it's a possibility if anybody falters. But the 5 teams have to falter. Somebody has to falter in order to climb back in.
All right. So this week came out yesterday. We will release our next week's rankings on Tuesday, Tuesday. So excited to see where that goes. And we'll have to continue to see if these teams can remain on the top 5. But Ron, I've always, like I said, try to challenge you with Do You Remembers. We have a couple of them today that I think some I feel are easy, but some may not be so easy. So the first one is more of a question, and then I will bring the player up, and is one of the all-time greatest hockey players of all time, Wayne Gretzky. But I'd like to know, which 4 teams did Wayne Gretzky play for, Ron? Do you remember all 4 teams?
Ooh, 4, huh? Well, we know it is Edmonton, and we know it is LA.
Yes.
And we know it is the New York Rangers.
Yes, this is where I was going to stump you.
Wow, yeah. What's that 4th team? Why do I see St. Louis in this picture?
Bye, thank you.
Is that what you're going with?
Yeah, I'm going to go with St. Louis.
Very good guess, my friend.
Yeah, that's what I
St.
thought.
Louis Blues, 1 year.
Yeah.
Right before he went to the Rangers. St. Louis, which is just one of those things you look at and it doesn't look right.
That just looks horrible.
When you think about all of...
Like, I can see him in the other 3 uniforms, but that one is not good.
Right? It just it's weird, man. I saw that, and I just said, I gotta ask. I want to see. But very good.
2017, good yeah, okay.
Very good job. Very good job there. All right, so this next one, I'm going to bring up this logo. I want to know if you know the team. And then I've got a little bit more trivia to this one as well. So you're going to really appreciate this one.
I got a nice little juicy tidbit, too.
All right, cool. All right. So do you remember this team, Ron? 1974 to 76.
It's Kansas City.
Very good.
I can't remember the team name, though. I knew they had a team, but...
Kansas City. Very good. 1974 to 76 was the Scouts. Kansas City Scouts. But do you know which team they became? So they moved in 1976, and it was a team that we've discussed in the past.
I'm going to say Colorado Rockies.
Very good. So they became the Colorado Rockies.
Yeah.
In 1982, the Colorado Rockies moved. Do you know which team they became?
Holy crap. Colorado, they moved to, oh man. Was it Quebec?
The New Jersey Devils.
Oh, was it the Devils? Okay.
Is that not insane? So if you think about the New Jersey Devils today, they started off as the Kansas City Scouts.
Wow. Yeah.
Moved to Colorado, became the Rockies, and then moved from the Rockies to New Jersey and became the Devils.
Yeah, I should have actually known that, to be honest with you.
It's different. It's different.
Yeah.
It's different.
I should have known that.
And then
it matches up the timeline,
Yeah. So I thought this was fun, but I have one more for you. I have one more for you, and it's a Boston Bruins one.
Oh.
And I wanted to know if you know the last head coach that became a Hall of Famer for the Boston Bruins.
Wait, a Hall of Fame head coach or a Hall of Fame player?
Head coach.
Okay. It's got to be Don Cherry. It's got to be.
Unless I did my...
Oh, wait a minute. No, it could have been... what the hell is his name? The French guy there. Oh, my God. I can't think of his name. All I think of is, like, Jacques.
And I could be wrong. If I read this wrong, I apologize ahead of time. But I believe this would be your last head coach that became a Hall of Fame coach.
Yeah, I'm going to say Don Cherry because I can't think of the guy's name. Wait, Mike Milbury?
Yes.
He's a Hall of Fame head coach?
They said he was in the Hall of Fame. If it's a player, maybe I've misread it, but they said he was in the Hall of Fame.
I can't see him being in a Hall of Fame for either.
For 2 years. He was at 2 years for the Boston Bruins. 89, he got hired in 90.
He's in the Hall of Fame?
He's in the Hall of Fame.
How?
I don't know.
How?
But when I brought up the Boston Bruins,
broadcasting,
all the head coaches that were in the Hall of Fame, he was one of them. Art Ross, I believe, was the first one from the Boston Bruins. He was in the Hall of Fame, and the list continued. But Mike Milbury.
I want to argue that one. I don't think he's in there for a head coach.
Let's see.
I don't know.
Let me see.
I find that hard to believe. He didn't win anything. What did he do?
No, he went to the Hall of Fame. Mike Milbury was inducted in the Hall of Fame. Okay, let's see if it says
it's gotta
why.
Be as a GM, maybe. I don't know. I don't even know if it's that because, like, I find it hard to believe he's in there at all.
Does it say what he got in for? U.S. Hall of Fame celebrates hockey honoring former inductee. No, that doesn't give me an answer here. Hold on. So now,
I'm still. I don't think he's in there. I don't think he's in there.
No, he's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he's probably from going up into the stands and beating someone with a shoe. They probably have the shoe inside the Hall of Fame for that big fight at Madison Square Garden. It's got to be. I just can't. I can't see him being in the Hall of Fame at all in anything. Sorry. I think I'm going to win this argument too. By the way,
he later served right under Henry. Oh, he's in the Hall of Fame. It's not telling me why he's in the Hall of Fame.
Can't be as a coach. Cannot be. There's no way. This mouse is just not working. Because I'd look it up too. But while you're looking for this, I'm going to give you my little tidbit.
Yeah, what's your tidbit? What do you got for me?
So Ron Francis, who is, I believe, 6th all-time in career points, he is the only player in the top 20 all-time points leaders that is a minus in the plus-minus category.
Really?
The only player.
Oh.
I was actually surprised at that because, I didn't think he was a minus player, but he is. That kind of sheds a new light on how I feel about Ron Francis.
Ah.
So, I just thought it was pretty interesting that he's the only one that's a minus in the top 20.
Huh.
And,
that's kind of crazy.
It's like I've always thought of him as a pretty good two-way centerman, but apparently not.
So he was inducted in 2006 into the United States Hockey Hall of Fame. But they don't say. I think it's over his career. So they're just.
It can't be a career. His career stinks.
Player, coach, and general manager.
Oh, player, coach. No, it's just a career thing. That's different. Yeah, so it's a career. It's an honorary career hockey guy.
All right, but he's in, and he was the last.
But he wasn't. Yeah, but he's not. He didn't get in because of coaching. He didn't get in because of playing or general manager. He just got in because he was gifted that. And if they could do it all over again, they'd probably take him out.
Wow. So if you enjoy what you're watching, check us out every Friday night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, all on Rhode Island Broadcasting. We love to get you live so we can actually have some fan interaction. Very excited. This week, we're going to have a lot to talk about. Some big Major League Baseball signings, key injuries in the NFL. We're going to obviously talk about some of those NHL injuries and how that might affect some teams. So a lot going on this week already in sports. Yeah, right. MLB signings. There's been a ton of them. Trey Turner, Aaron Judge.
There's always a lot to talk about.
Justin Verlander. So we've got a lot to talk about when it comes to Major League Baseball, which is kind of crazy if you think it's the off season right now for them. So there's always something to talk about.
So how did the Texas Rangers get DeGrom? That's what I want to know.
Right. DeGrom's the Phillies are making sure they spend money, even with Hopper being out for half the season. So it's going to be really interesting to see.
And you see offshore that boat that just left Boston did not get on that boat.
And we'll probably have some World Cup discussion as well. There's a lot going on with the World Cup, some upsets as well.
Absolutely.
Ronaldo being benched by Portugal. What a story that's become in the World Cup as well.
Isn't that your GOAT?
That is my GOAT. Yes. But yeah, he's got a little bit of the that Antonio Brown syndrome going on, I think. Yeah. So we'll have to see how that all turns out. But Ron, I will see you Friday night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Everybody that's watching us live, we want to thank you for joining. I got a feeling
you'll probably see me again soon.
We may see each other. And then obviously if you're joining us afterwards, check out and follow us on all our social media. Tick has been running. You can follow us on all those social media platforms. So look forward to that. Ron, I will see you soon. All right, my friend, you have a great day.
All right, you too. Take care, everybody.
And all we ask for is